Today, we're diving deep into the story of Arabian Prince, the forgotten original member of N.W.A. I'll take you through his journey, breaking down how his role went far beyond just appearing on the cover of Straight Outta Compton. From pioneering N.W.A.'s early party electro sound to producing Ruthless' first gold record with J.J. Fad, which helped finance Eazy-E and N.W.A.'s debut album. We'll uncover the reasons behind his departure from the group, being the first member to recognize something was off financially long before Ice Cube. And we'll explore his later transition into the video game and film industry, working on 3D animation and visual effects for major movies like Contact and Independence Day. This is an independent episode tied directly to our animated docuseries, N.W.A Origins, and it's part of a collection of standalone bonus episodes highlighting the overlooked key figures who played a role in the group's rise. Born in 1965, Kim Nazel grew up in Compton, California, in a family that worked hard to keep him away from the streets. His parents sent him to Catholic school and kept him busy with football, hoping he'd never fall into the gang life around him. When he was a kid, his uncle once pressed his face against the gutter, holding his foot behind his head, warning him that this is where he'd end up if he joined a gang. That moment stayed with him. By 14, Arabian had found his escape behind the turntables. He started DJing at school dances, mixing records, and quickly realized he had a gift for it. His mother was a classical pianist, and his father hosted a radio show. Arabian Prince would sit in the control room, learning how to use the boards, making mixtapes, and selling them at school for lunch money. In his neighborhood, everyone knew him as the tech guy of Compton. The first rap record he ever bought was Super Rhymes, a 15-minute track that opened his mind to how creative hip-hop could be. At first, he called himself DJ Prince. It was the early 80s. You either dressed like Prince or Michael Jackson. He would rock the parachute pants, the trim mustache, the whole look. One night, while DJing with his friend Egyptian Lover at Skateland, during one of their early performances, a young woman approached both of them. After introductions, she remarked that she always saw the two performing together and suggested he call himself Arabian Prince. And just like that, the name stuck. In the early 80s, Arabian Prince began making a name for himself across Los Angeles. He often DJ'd with Egyptian Lover at the radio, later renamed the Radiotron, a home base for a young MC who was the main rapper there, known as Ice-T. It wasn't just a club, but a hub for young creatives, poppers, breakers, DJs, MCs, and graffiti artists from every background. Every weekend it was packed. Even Michael Jackson stopped by to recruit dancers. Around that time, Egyptian Lover joined Uncle Jam's Army, one of the most famous DJ crews in LA, and brought Arabian Prince in. Soon after, he was spinning records at massive events and packed clubs across the city. In '84, while on tour, he crossed paths with Dr. Dre, who was performing with his group The Wrecking Crew. The two quickly bonded. They would hit the Rhodium swap meet together, digging for records, and when they weren't doing that, they were hanging out at Venice Beach, talking to girls. Inspired by Egyptian Lover and The Wrecking Crew, who were transitioning from mobile DJs to recording artists, Arabian Prince released his first single titled Strange Life in 1984 on Rhapsody Records. He produced and performed it himself. This label was owned by Russ Parr, who then started to link him with Bobby Jimmy and the Critters, since they had a similar style. This same year, Arabian Prince started producing tracks for them and then officially joined the group on Ugly Knuckle Butt. In 1985, Arabian Prince dropped an EP of 4 tracks, followed by another single titled It Ain't Tough. Then in 1986, he released another track titled Situation Hot. Not long after Dre reconnected with his childhood friend Eazy-E through Steve Yano at the Rhodium swap meet, he introduced him to Arabian Prince. One night, he proudly walked into a club where the Wrecking Crew were performing, holding a drawing of his new label's logo, Ruthless Records. He showed it to Dr. Dre and Arabian Prince, telling them he wanted them to produce music for him and that he was ready to put the money on the table. At the time, Arabian Prince started feeling like he wasn't really cashing in on all the records he was producing for other artists. Meanwhile, Dre's vision for the Wrecking Crew was beginning to clash with Lonzo's. Dre wanted to push for a harder, more street-oriented sound, but Lonzo wanted the group to stay in its electro-funk lane. In 1986, the Wrecking Crew released their second album, Wrapped in Romance, but it didn't pull strong numbers. By then, Dre was officially done with the electro dance sound. Slowly but surely, Dre and Arabian Prince started taking Eazy-E's offer more seriously, but at that point, it was just talk, until Dre ran into some trouble. As I explained in part 3 of the NWA docuseries, he had built up a stack of unpaid parking tickets, and eventually it caught up with him. He got locked up and needed bail money. Eazy-E heard about the situation and stepped in to help. To return the favor, Dre finally agreed to produce music for Eazy. And that's how Dre ended up producing Eazy-E's solo single Boys in the Hood, written by a 16-year-old Ice Cube, recorded in 1986. I also covered this period in more detail in the episode about Crazy D, the forgotten Mexican member of N.W.A, where I went over the group's formation, their first releases, and explained that the original Ruthless family included Eazy-E, Dre, Arabian Prince, Ice Cube, Crazy D, and Rendezvous. Eazy's childhood friend with whom he recorded 2 singles, Fat Girl in L.A. is The Place, released as B-sides to Boys in the Hood. The success of Boys in the Hood was the final push for Eazy-E to form a local all-star supergroup. As I broke down in his independent episode, DJ Yella recently shared a little-known story about who came up with the now infamous name N.W.A. The origin has always been debated. Dre and Eazy were at Arabian Prince's house when the name was first discussed, and for years the public believed it was Eazy who coined it. But Yella recently revealed it was actually Yomo, from the group Yomo and Malky, who came up with the name. Yomo and Malky were part of N.W.A.'s entourage, and Yella later produced their debut album on Ruthless Records. By the summer of 1987, N.W.A. officially dropped their first EP, featuring Panic Zone, Dope Man, and 8 Ball. That release marked the true beginning of the group's rise. At that time, MC Ren was originally signed as a solo act. Yella wasn't in the group yet, and the DOC was still living in Texas. If you look closely at the EP cover, you'll spot him, standing alongside the crew and their homies. Flip to the back, and you'll see 2 photos showing what Eazy-E envisioned as the group's core founding members at that point: Eazy-E, Dr. Dre, Ice Cube, and Arabian Prince. The only other name credited beside them was Crazy D, who actually wrote the title track of their first EP, Panic Zone. Originally called Hispanic Zone, Dre produced the track, Crazy D wrote the lyrics, and Arabian Prince performed the vocals. You can discover his full story in his independent episode, where he shares exclusive insights, including that one of the group's first name ideas was Underworld. At that time, as N.W.A. was forming and releasing their first EP, Arabian Prince was already the most established artist in the crew. He'd built a name for himself both as a solo act and as a member of Bobby Jimmy and the Critters, releasing an EP titled Black and Proud that same year with them, which he produced most of the tracks. Within N.W.A., Arabian Prince stood out as the electro-funk architect, the one bringing that futuristic West Coast sound built on synthesizers, drum machines, and rhythm. But like Crazy D, he wasn't into the full gangsta rap direction the group was taking. Their early records, like Panic Zone, had a party vibe made for radio play, before N.W.A. shifted toward the raw, street-driven style that would define gangsta rap. Now let's switch to the story behind Ruthless Records' first gold record, the one that helped finance Eazy-E and N.W.A.'s debut album. Arabian Prince had met the female rap group JJ Fad because he and Dre used to hang out with them. Dre even started dating one of the girls from the group. He remembers those days, riding with Dre in his RX-7, the window broken, freezing as they cruised across the city just to see the girls. The group of friends eventually decided they wanted to form a rap group and kept asking Dre and Arabian to produce a track for them. At first, they weren't interested, but one night, while Arabian Prince was in the studio working on a track, the girls stopped by again. After he finished his session, they convinced him to give it a try. So he sat down and in about an hour produced 2 tracks. One of them was Supersonic. The song was first released on Dream Team Records and it blew up. Later, when Arabian Prince joined N.W.A., he told Eazy-E to buy back the rights to the record, a move that would end up changing the financial future of Ruthless Records. As we broke down in DJ Yella's episode, it was around this time that Yella also joined the group. Arabian Prince reworked the song with Dre and Yella co-producing it, and together they recorded an entire album of the same name, released in 1988. It became Ruthless Records' first gold record, helping to finance N.W.A. and Eazy-E's debut album. And after its release, they immediately started to work on Eazy-Duz-It. And as Ice Cube left to study for a year in Arizona, Ren stepped up and officially joined the group, as covered in his independent episode. Around that same period, the DOC arrived from Texas. Eazy's debut album, Eazy-Duz-It, was released in late 1988 and went on to sell 2.5 million copies. Following the album's release, they immediately got to work on N.W.A's debut album, Straight Outta Compton, which was released only a couple of months after and went gold in just 4 weeks. It went on to sell over 3 million copies. Arabian Prince produced and rapped on Something to Dance To, the only electro-funk track on the album, which was later deleted from later versions of the release. You can still see him on the cover of the album, a quiet reminder of his role in shaping the group's earliest sound. Then the group started to go on tour. While Ice Cube left at the end of the tour in late '89 and is often depicted as the one who first realized the money wasn't adding up, Arabian Prince was actually the first to notice something was off. After Ruthless Records earned its first gold record with J.J. Fad's Supersonic, Arabian already had experience as a solo artist and knew what royalty checks should look like. When his payments didn't add up, he went to see Jerry Heller directly. They reached a deal, and Arabian began receiving royalties. But as he later explained in an interview with West Coast Styles, there was a catch. In exchange, he parted ways with the group after reaching an understanding with Jerry Heller. Still, Arabian Prince never had any kind of beef with the members of N.W.A, staying on good terms with everyone except Jerry Heller. By the way, some of you might be wondering why I didn't mention The Posse as their debut album. Well, it's actually an unauthorized compilation album released by Macola Records. When Eazy and Jerry Heller left and signed with Priority Records, Macola decided to cash in and reuse the cover photo from Panic Zone for the N.W.A and The Posse album. They combined songs from Eazy's Boys in the Hood single with tracks from the N.W.A EP, added some B-sides, and even included 4 songs by the Phila Fresh crew. A group from Texas produced by Dre, featuring a young DOC. By the end of 1989, Arabian Prince released his debut solo album, Brother Arab, on Orpheus Records. As you can tell from the cover, the project leaned more toward rap than the electro-funk sound he was known for, a sign of how much the West Coast had shifted. That same year, he dropped another single, returning to his electro-funk roots under the name Professor X. Like Dr. Dre, as mentioned earlier in the N.W.A docuseries, Arabian enjoyed using different aliases for his creative work. After leaving the group, he never engaged in any beef like Dre or Cube against Ruthless. In 1990, he even returned to work on J.J. Fad's second album. That same year, he released Situation Hot, a compilation of his early '80s electro-funk tracks that remains a hidden gem. In 1993, he dropped his second album, Where's My Bitch, on his label Da Bozak Records. By then, the West Coast had evolved again. The Chronic and Doggy Style brought in the G-Funk era, and Arabian adapted. By 1995, he was still cool with every former N.W.A member, staying close to Eazy-E until the end. The last time they spoke was just 3 months before Eazy's passing. Around the late 80s, Arabian had already noticed another rising world, video games. It all started with arcade games, and Arabian Prince still recalls a funny story from those early days on tour with N.W.A. Whenever the crew stopped at a mall, they'd hit the arcades to play. But since they were all dressed head to toe in Black Raiders gear, security would often split them up, thinking they were a gang. That's around that time that he began teaching himself coding and 3D animation, first as a hobby and eventually as a whole new career path. By the mid-90s, after years in the music industry, Arabian Prince transitioned fully into the tech world. He began working on visual effects for major films like Contact and Independence Day, starring Will Smith, released in 1996. He later launched Hypnotic FX, his own production company, working on the special effects for Power Rangers, Casper, The Addams Family, The Fantastic Four, and others. At the same time, he began working on video games for Fox Interactive and other studios, including The Simpsons, Barbie, The Lord of the Rings, and several Blizzard titles. When the biopic Straight Outta Compton was released in 2015, many fans wondered about his absence. Arabian Prince later broke down one of the main reasons. The movie focused heavily on the group's gangsta rap era, leaving out the party and electro-funk roots that defined their early years, including Ruthless Records' first gold record. In his recent interviews, Arabian Prince revealed that he still performs live shows across the country, taking the stage under his original name, often alongside his longtime friend Egyptian Lover. He's remained on good terms with every former member of N.W.A staying especially close with MC Ren. Beyond performing, he continues to ghost produce for major producers, crafting beats that make their way onto mainstream records and radio rotations, but he prefers to stay low-key, explaining that he never wanted to be a superstar, only to live off his passions, and that's exactly what he's done. Today, he's also an entrepreneur and innovator. He's invested in multiple startups, including AI companies and PC brands built for streamers, always staying ahead of his time, always exploring what's next. And every year, Arabian Prince continues to appear at conventions and technology events, still blending the same creativity, curiosity, and drive that first set him apart back in Compton. All right, fam, that wraps up today's episode. Thanks so much for tuning in. And if you enjoyed it, make sure to like the video and subscribe. And don't forget to hit the notification bell as a brand new episode comes out every 10 days. And for short animated stories and the latest old school hip hop news, make sure to follow us on Instagram. Just like your favorite rappers already did. If you don't know, we're pretty active on here and are publishing short animated interview clips in collaboration with major hip hop outlets in the game. For those who want to show a little support, as these documentaries take a ton of time, research, and effort to put together, YouTube thanks and memberships are now available. Big love to everyone who stuck around till now. Peace out, and see you real soon.